The ship docked with a soft thud. Lieutenant Park stood up from her seat and looked out the small window. Relay Station Gamma 7 floated in the darkness of space like a metal flower. Hundreds of ships moved around it. Lights blinked everywhere. This place was busy. This place was important. Checked her uniform one more time. Everything had to be perfect today. She was here to meet and did not like mistakes. "Are you ready?" asked Ensign. He was her translator, a young man with kind eyes and a nervous habit of fixing his hair. He had studied the language for 3 years, but he had never met one in person. "Ready as I can be," said. She tried to smile, but her stomach felt tight. They were not easy to deal with. Everyone knew this. They looked like wolves that walked on 2 legs. They had thick fur, sharp claws, and teeth that could bite through metal. They lived in packs, and they trusted only their own kind. 3 human groups had already tried to make peace with them. 3 human groups had failed. Was the 4th try. The airlock opened with a hiss. Cold air rushed in. The station smelled like metal and oil and 100 different alien species. Stepped forward, her boots clicking on the floor. A guide was waiting for them. It was a small creature with too many eyes and a tablet in its many hands. "Human delegation," it asked in broken English. "That's us," said. "Follow, waiting, not patient." They walked through long hallways. Aliens of all shapes and sizes moved past them. Some looked at with curiosity. Some looked at her with fear. Humans were still new to this part of space. Not everyone knew what to think of them. Walked close to. "I read the reports again last night," he said quietly. "They rejected the other delegations because they said humans have no pack. They think we are, what is the word? Solitary, like hunters who live alone." "We're not alone," said. "I know that, you know that, but they don't see it. They don't smell pack bonds on us. They don't see us sleep together in piles. To them, we are strange and dangerous." Thought about this. She thought about her family back on Earth. Her mother who called her every week. Her father who sent her pictures of his garden. Her little brother who was starting university soon. She thought about her friends, the people she had laughed with and cried with and shared meals with. How could anyone think humans had no pack? They reached a large door. The guide stopped. "Inside, good luck, human." The door opened. The room was warm, much warmer than the hallway. Felt sweat begin to form on her neck. The light heat, she remembered. Their home world was a hot place, full of red deserts and burning suns. 5 sat at the far end of the room. They were big, much bigger than had expected. The smallest one was still a head taller than her. Their fur was different colors, brown, gray, black, white. Their eyes were gold, and they all stared at her without blinking. The one in the middle was the biggest. His fur was dark gray, almost black, and a long scar ran across his face. This was Pac Alpha, the leader. Walked forward. She stopped at the proper distance. She bowed her head slightly, showing respect but not weakness. She had practiced this many times. "Pac Alpha," she said. Her voice was steady. "I am Lieutenant Park of the United Earth Diplomatic Corps. I thank you for agreeing to meet with us." Did not move. His gold eyes looked at her like she was a bug. "Human," he said. His voice was deep and rough. "You come to ask for mining rights in our territory. I come to discuss a possible agreement that could benefit both our peoples." "Your peoples," made a sound that might have been a laugh. "What peoples? Humans have no pack. You wander alone. You trust no one. Why should we trust you?" Kept her face calm. "Humans may seem different from, but we are not so different inside. We have families. We have friends. We protect those we love." Pretty words. This came from the aunt's right. She was brown-furred with clever eyes. This was Hunt Second, the warrior. "We have heard pretty words before. Words mean nothing." "Then let my actions speak," said. Leaned forward, he sniffed the air. "You smell strange," he said. "You smell like nothing, no pack, no den, no family, just empty." Felt a sting in her chest. She was not empty. She had never been empty. But she did not argue. She knew that would only make things worse. "I understand that trust must be earned," she said. "I am willing to stay as long as needed. I am willing to learn your ways. I am willing to prove that humans can be trusted." Stared at her for a long moment. Then he looked at the on his left. She was older, with white fur around her face and gentle eyes. This was Den Mother. She was in charge of the young ones. Spoke softly. "She is brave, at least, brave or foolish." "Perhaps both," said. He looked back at. "We will talk more tomorrow. For now you may stay in the guest quarters. Do not wander. Do not touch anything. Do not speak to anyone without permission." "I understand," said. The meeting was over, bowed again and walked out of the room, followed her. The door closed behind them. In the hallway, let out a long breath. Her hands were shaking. She put them in her pockets so would not see. "That went well," said. He did not sound like he believed it. "It went," said. "That's something." They found their quarters. It was a small room with 2 beds and a window that looked out at the stars. Sat on her bed and stared at the ceiling. She thought about his words. No pack, no den, no family, empty. He was wrong. She knew he was wrong. But how could she prove it? How could she show them something they could not see or smell or touch? She did not know yet, but she would find a way. Outside the window, the stars burned cold and bright. Somewhere out there, Earth waited. Her family waited. Her pack waited. She was not alone. She would never be alone. She just had to make the understand that. Could not sleep. The bed was too hard. The room was too quiet. Her mind was too full of worry. She kept thinking about the meeting. Cold eyes, sharp words, the way they had looked at her like she was nothing, like she was less than nothing. She turned on her side. Then she turned on her back. Then she turned on her other side. Nothing helped. Finally, she gave up. She got out of bed and put on her boots. Maybe a walk would help. Maybe moving her body would quiet her mind. She looked at. He was sleeping deeply, his face peaceful. She did not want to wake him. She would just take a short walk and come back. The hallway was empty. Most of the station was sleeping now. The lights had dimmed to a soft orange glow. Walked slowly, her footsteps quiet on the metal floor. She passed storage rooms and meeting halls and empty offices. Everything looked the same. Gray walls, gray floors, gray doors. It was easy to get lost here. She made sure to remember her turns. She was about to go back when she heard something. A small sound, soft and high, almost like crying. Stopped, she listened. There it was again, coming from behind a stack of cargo containers. She should go back, she should not get involved. Had told her not to wander, not to touch anything, not to speak to anyone. But the sound was so sad, so small, so scared. She walked toward it. Behind the containers, in a dark corner, she found him. A pup, very young, maybe 1 or 2 years old in human terms. His fur was brown like autumn leaves, and his eyes were big and wet with tears. He was shaking. The station was cold here, far from the warm rooms where they stayed. His heart broke. She tapped her translator. "Hello," she said softly. "Are you okay?" The pup looked up at her. His ears went flat against his head. He was afraid. "It's okay," said. She did not move closer. She did not want to scare him more. "I'm not going to hurt you. Are you lost?" The translator picked up the pup's whimpers and turned them into words. "Lost, cold, want den, want mother, where is mother?" Felt her eyes sting. This was someone's child, someone's baby, lost and alone in the dark. She knew she should she should tell them their pup was missing. That was the proper thing to do, the safe thing to do. But the pup was so cold. He was shaking so hard his teeth were clicking together. The quarters were far away. It would take time for them to come. And every minute this little one got colder. Made a decision. She took off her uniform jacket. It was thick and warm, made to keep humans comfortable in cold places. She held it out toward the pup. "Here," she said, "this will help." The pup stared at the jacket. He sniffed the air. Knew she probably smelled strange to him. Wrong, not pack, but she stayed still and waited. Slowly, very slowly, the pup crept forward. His nose touched the jacket, then his paw. Then, with a sudden movement, he grabbed the jacket and wrapped it around himself. Smiled better. The pup looked at her. Something changed in his eyes. The fear was still there, but something else was growing, something like trust. Still cold, he said. Jacket warm, but still cold inside. Understood. He was not just cold in his body, he was cold in his heart. He was scared and lonely and far from everything safe. She sat down on the floor. The metal was cold through her pants, but she did not care. She opened her arms just a little, an invitation, not a demand. "Do you want to sit with me?" she asked. "I am warm." The pup tilted his head. He did not understand. Strange creatures did not offer warmth. Strange creatures were dangerous. But did not look dangerous. She looked soft. She looked kind. And she was offering what he needed most. The pup crawled into her lap. He was heavier than expected. His fur was thick and a little rough against her skin. He smelled like dust and something sweet like honey. He curled up against her chest, his head on her shoulder, his small claws holding onto her shirt. "What is your name?" asked. The pup said. His voice was already getting sleepy. "Hello, I will keep you warm until your mother comes. Is that okay?" Did not answer. He was already falling asleep. Sat very still. She could feel his heartbeat against her chest, fast at first, then slower, calmer. He felt safe. Somehow, with this strange, furless creature, he felt safe. Wrapped her jacket around both of them. She leaned her head back against the wall. She should call someone. She knew she should, but was sleeping so peacefully. She did not want to wake him. She would wait a little while, just a little while. Her comm link buzzed softly. His voice came through, quiet and worried. "Where are you? I woke up and you were gone." "I'm okay," whispered. "I found something, someone, a pup. He was lost." There was silence, then spoke again, his voice tense. "That's dangerous. If they find out you're alone with one of their pups, they might think you're threatening him." "I know. You should bring him back or call them something." "I know." Looked down at, his face was peaceful. His small body was warm against hers. "But he's sleeping now. He was so scared, so cold, I couldn't just leave him." Sighed. "You and your soft heart. It's going to get you killed one day." "Maybe, but not today." Footsteps, heard footsteps coming closer. Heavy footsteps, footsteps. Her heart began to beat faster, but she did not move. She did not run. She did not try to hide. She stayed exactly where she was, with sleeping on her shoulder, and waited for whatever would come. A shadow fell over her, looked up. Then Mother stood there, her white-faced features twisted with fear and anger and something else, something that looked almost like wonder. "My son," said, her voice shook. "You have my son." Spoke softly, carefully. "He was lost, he was cold, I did not want to wake him." Stared at her. Behind her more appeared, warriors, hunters, and at the front Pack Alpha himself, his gold eyes burning in the dim light. Stirred on shoulder, he made a small sound and held on to her. And did not let go. The hallway was full of now, 10 of them, maybe more. Their golden eyes glowed in the dim light. Their claws clicked on the metal floor. Some of them had their teeth showing. Did not move. She sat on the cold floor with still sleeping on her shoulder. Her heart was beating so fast she could hear it in her ears, but she kept her face calm. She kept her body still. Pack Alpha stepped forward. He was so big. His shadow covered completely. His voice was like thunder when he spoke. "What have you done, human?" Looked up at him. She did not look away from his eyes. Looking away meant fear. Looking away meant guilt. She had nothing to be guilty about. "I found him alone," she said. Her voice was quiet but steady. "He was lost and cold. I kept him warm." "You took him." This came from the hunt second. She was standing close to, her body tense like a spring ready to jump. "You took our pup, our child." I did not take him, I found him. There is a difference. Pushed past the warriors, she fell to her knees in front of her, eyes fixed on. My baby, she whispered. Is he hurt? Did you hurt him? I would never hurt him, said. Look at him, he is sleeping, he is peaceful. Does that look like fear to you? Looked, was still curled against chest, his small face pressed into her neck. His breathing was slow and easy. His ears were relaxed. His tail was tucked around his body in the way pups slept when they felt completely safe. He sleeps like he is in the den, said. Her voice was full of confusion. He sleeps like he is with pack. Knelt down. His face was close to Snow, so close she could see every scar, every line, every strand of dark fur. He breathed in deeply, smelling her. You carry no weapons, he said. No. You made no attempt to run when we came. No. You did not try to use the pup as a shield or a bargaining piece. He is a child, not a tool. Was quiet for a long moment. The other waited. No one moved. No one spoke. The air felt heavy, like a storm was coming. Then spoke again. This could be a trick. Humans are clever. Everyone knows this. She could have planned this whole thing. Take the pup, pretend to be kind, make us trust her. I did not plan anything, said. I could not sleep. I went for a walk. I heard him crying, that is all. And we should believe you, a stranger, a creature with no pack. Something stirred in, something hot and sharp. She had been patient, she had been calm, but these words hurt. They hurt more than she wanted to show. I have a pack, she said. Her voice was stronger now. I have a mother who worries about me every day. I have a father who sends me messages every week. I have a brother who asks me when I am coming home. I have friends who would die for me and I would die for them. I have a crew who trusts me and I trust them. I am not empty. I am not alone. I have never been alone. The stared at her. Something had changed. The anger in the air was fading. In its place was something else, something like curiosity. Leaned closer. He breathed in again, deeper this time. His eyes went wide. There, he said softly. I smell it now, faint, so faint, but there. Smell what? Asked. Pack scent, many of them. Old bonds worn thin by time and distance, but still there. Looked at like he was seeing her for the first time. Your pack. They are far away. Nodded, very far across the stars, but they are still my pack. Distance does not change that. Reached out slowly. Her clawed hand touched his arm, gentle as a falling leaf. You held my son, she said. You kept him warm. You could have called us and left him alone. You could have used him to make us give you what you want. But you sat on the cold ground and held him while he slept. He was scared, said simply. He needed someone, I was there. But he is not your kind. He is not your pack. Why would you help him? Looked down at, he was still sleeping, still holding onto her shirt with his tiny claws. So small, so innocent, so trusting. Because he needed help, said. That is enough. That has always been enough. Stirred, his eyes opened slowly. He saw his mother and made a happy sound, reaching for her. But he did not let go of shirt. He held onto both of them, connecting them. Mama, he said, the human is warm, she kept the cold away. Looked at, something was shining in her golden eyes, something that might have been tears. Thank you, said. The words seemed hard for her to say, like she was not used to saying them to strangers. Thank you for protecting my son. Stood up, he looked at his pack, at the warriors and hunters who had come ready to fight. Stand down, he said. The human is not our enemy. Started to argue, but Pack Alpha. I said stand down. His voice left no room for argument. I have seen what I needed to see. I have smelled what I needed to smell. This human. She is not what we thought. He looked down at one more time. We will talk again tomorrow, human, and this time I will listen with different ears. They began to leave, stayed for a moment longer. She took from his arms, but the pup cried out and reached back toward the human. Den Warm said, she is Den Warm, I want to stay with Den Warm. Smiled, it was the first smile had seen on a face. It was beautiful. Maybe you will see her again, little one said. Maybe soon. She carried away. The pup watched over his mother's shoulder until they turned a corner and disappeared. Sat alone on the cold floor. Her jacket was still wrapped around her. It smelled like honey and dust and something warm. Appeared in the hallway. He ran to her, his face full of worry. Are you okay? What happened? I was so scared I thought they were going to. I'm okay, said. She was smiling. She did not know why she was smiling, but she could not stop. I'm okay, I think. I think things might be different now. She stood up slowly. Her legs were stiff from sitting so long, but inside she felt light. She felt hopeful. Something had changed tonight, something important. And it had all started with a lost pup and a choice to be kind. The next morning, everything was different. When walked into the meeting room, they did not stare at her with cold eyes. They did not show their teeth. Pack Alpha stood up when she entered. That was a sign of respect. Had read about it in her studies, but she never thought she would see it. Human said, sit, we have much to discuss. The negotiations began again, but the feeling in the room had changed. Before, they had looked at her like she was an enemy. Now, they looked at her like she was a puzzle they wanted to solve. Still seemed unsure. She watched with careful eyes, but even she was not as hostile as before. They talked about the mining rights. They talked about trade. They talked about borders and rules and agreements. It was long and difficult, but it was also real. They were actually listening now. They were actually considering what had to say. In the afternoon, there was a break. Was drinking water in the hallway when appeared beside her. The healer wants to see you, said. The healer, am I sick? Smiled that beautiful smile again. No, he is. Curious. We are all curious about you, human. You did something last night that we do not understand. Healer wants to understand it. Nodded, I will come. Led her through hallways had never seen before. They went deeper into the section of the station. It was warmer here. The lights were softer. The walls had paintings on them, images of forests and mountains and running wolves. They entered a small room full of strange equipment. An old sat in the corner. His fur was completely white and his eyes were cloudy with age. But when he looked at, his gaze was sharp and knowing. So, he said, you are the human who held the pup. I am. Sit, I want to check something. Sat on a low chair. Healer approached her slowly. He pressed a small device to her arm. It made a soft humming sound. What are you checking? Asked. Your brain chemistry, your hormones, the signals your body sends. Looked at the device and made a sound of surprise. Interesting, very interesting. What is interesting? Sat back, his old eyes studied her face. When you held Young, did you feel anything? Thought about it. I felt warmth, protection, like I wanted to keep him safe, like he was important. Important how? Like a tool, like something useful. No, important like family, like he mattered just because he existed. Nodded slowly. Your body agrees with your words. When you held, your brain made a chemical called oxytocin. It is the same chemical that mothers make when they hold their babies. It is the same chemical that make when they are with their pack. Felt surprised. My body did that. Yes, within minutes of holding him, you're kind. You bond very fast, very deep, with anyone who needs you. Leaned forward. Do you understand what this means, human? I am not sure. Your species is not. Your species has a different kind of pack. A pack that has no limits. A pack that can include anyone, anything, even strangers, even aliens, even a lost pup who is not your own kind. Spoke from the doorway. Told the Pack Alpha what he found, was surprised we all were. We thought humans were lonely creatures, cold creatures, but you are the opposite. You are creatures who love too much, who love too easily, who cannot stop making room in your hearts. Did not know what to say. She had never thought about it that way before. It was just normal to her. It was just what humans did. They found things that needed love and they loved them. Dogs, cats, children, friends, strangers on the street who needed help. It was not special, it was just human. But it was amazing. That evening came to quarters. Has been asking for you, she said. He calls you Den Warm. He wants to see you again. His heart felt full. I would like to see him too. Led her to the quarters. No outsider had ever been allowed here before. Knew this was a great honor. The den was warm and full of soft things. Cushions and blankets and furs were piled everywhere. Small lights glowed in the corners like tiny stars. It smelled like the pack, like family, like home. Saw her and ran across the room. Den Warm, he shouted. He jumped into her arms. Caught him and held him close. He was heavier than yesterday, or maybe she was just tired. But it did not matter. He was warm and happy and safe. Other pups came closer. They were curious about this strange creature who smelled different but felt right. One by one they climbed into her lap, onto her shoulders, against her sides. Laughed, she could not help it. She was covered in pups and it was wonderful. The adult watched from around the room. At first they were careful, ready to jump in if something went wrong, but nothing went wrong. The pups were happy. The pups were safe. The human held them like they were precious. Sat down next to. She leaned against her, sharing warmth the way did with pack members. Felt her eyes sting. She had not expected this. She had not expected to feel so accepted, so welcome. More came closer. The young ones, then the adults. Then slowly even the warriors. They formed a circle around, not threatening, not aggressive, just close, just together. Was the last to approach. He looked at for a long moment. Then he lay down nearby, one massive paw resting close to her foot. You are strange, human, he said. You are soft and clawless and you smell like nothing we know, but you are warm, and you have a good heart. That is more important than claws. The lights dimmed. They began to sleep. They piled against each other the way packs do, sharing heat, sharing breath, sharing comfort. And in the center of it all was, on her shoulder, at her back, pups in her lap, warriors at her feet. She had become the center. She had become the heart. Found her later that night. He stood in the doorway of the den, his eyes wide, his mouth open. He took a picture. He did not know what else to do. Later, he would send that picture to Earth Command. It would change everything. But for now, he just stood there and watched as his friends slept in a pile of aliens who had chosen her as one of their own. Humans, he whispered to himself, we really do bond with everything. And in the warm darkness of the den, surrounded by the soft breathing of a pack that was not her blood, but was somehow her family, smiled in her sleep. 3 days later, the negotiations were finished. The mining agreement was signed. The trade deals were made. Both sides got what they wanted, but everyone knew that the papers were not the real victory. The real victory was something that could not be written down. Stood in the meeting room one last time. The delegation stood across from her, but they were not standing like enemies anymore. They were standing like friends. Pack Alpha stepped forward. In his hands he held something small and carved from wood. It was shaped like a wolf, but it had human features mixed in. 2 species joined together. This is for you, said. We call it a pack token. It is given only to those who have proven themselves true friends of the. No outsider has ever received one before. You are the first. Took the carving carefully. It was smooth and warm in her hands. She could feel the hours of work that had gone into it. The love. Thank you, she said. Her voice was thick with emotion. I do not deserve this. You do, said. She stood nearby within her arms. You showed us something we had forgotten. You showed us that pack is not about blood or species or smell. Pack is about heart. Pack is about choosing to care. Nodded. I declare you pack friend, Lieutenant Park. You are welcome in any territory, any den. Any pack will protect you as their own. This is my word, and my word is law. Bowed her head. She could not speak. If she spoke, she would cry. reached out from his mother's arms. "Den Warm," he said, "will you come back?" Looked at him. His golden eyes were big and hopeful. His little tail was wagging. "I will come back," she said. "I promise." The goodbyes were hard. They were not used to showing emotion to outsiders, but they showed it now. Who had been so suspicious at first, clasped arm in the warrior way. Healer gave her a small bottle of medicine for humans, held her close and whispered thanks in her ear. Then walked back to her ship, walked beside her carrying their bags. "So," he said, "that was something." "Yes," said, "it was. Earth Command is going to want a full report. They are going to want to know how you did it, how you changed everything in 3 days." "Thought about this. I did not do anything special," she said. "I just cared, that is all." Smiled. "Maybe that is what is special about us. We care too much. We love too easily. We cannot stop ourselves from helping." "Maybe." They boarded the ship, looked out the window as they pulled away from the station. She could see the lights of the section. Somewhere in there was watching her leave. She hoped he was not too sad. A week later, submitted her report to Earth Command. It was long and detailed. It explained everything that had happened. But at the end, she added something personal, something she felt needed to be said. "They feared us because they thought we had no pack. They could not understand how a species could live without one. What they did not know is that humanity's pack is simply bigger than they imagined. We do not bond only with our own kind. We bond with everything that needs us. Every lost child, every scared stranger, every creature who is cold and alone in the dark. This is not weakness. This is our greatest strength. We do not have a pack. We are a pack that never stops growing, a pack that always makes room for one more. And we will keep making room, for as long as there are stars in the sky." The report was read by many important people. It was discussed in meetings and conferences. It changed how Earth thought about first contact. It changed how humans approached other species. But the most important thing came 2 years later. There was a knock on her door. She opened it and found a young standing there. He was taller now, almost as tall as her. His brown fur was smooth and healthy. His golden eyes were bright with joy. Shouted, she pulled him into a hug. He was part of the first cultural exchange. He had come to Earth to study. He would live in Seoul. He would go to university. He would make human friends. And every holiday, every special day, every moment when he needed family, he would come to home. He would meet her mother, her father, her brother. He would sleep in the guest room and eat breakfast at their table. He would be back. Years passed, grew up. He became a bridge between and humans. He told everyone the same story when they asked how it started. "I was lost," he would say. "I was cold and scared and alone, and a human found me. She did not know me. I was not her kind, but she sat on the cold ground and held me until I felt safe. She kept me warm when I needed warmth. She was my den when I had no den." He would look at whoever was listening with those golden eyes. "That is what humans do," he would say. "They find lost things and love them. They find scared things and protect them. They find cold things and make them warm. It does not matter if you are human or something else entirely. If you need them, they will love you." He would smile then, a smile he had learned from. "Do not make them your enemies," he would warn. "Not because they are strong, not because they are clever, but because when you hurt what they love, they will not stop until they make it right. Their love is their power, and their power has no end." Across the galaxy, the story spread. Species who had never met humans heard about the woman who held a pup in the cold. They heard about the pack that had no limits. They heard about the creatures who loved too much. Some species were afraid, some were confused, but many, many more were hopeful. Because in a cold universe, in the dark spaces between stars, there was a species that would always make room for one more. There was a species that would always find the lost and scared and alone and give them a home. There was humanity. And humanity was warm. Far away on Earth, in a small house in a quiet town, sat by her window and watched the stars, was visiting. He was sleeping in the guest room, his soft snores drifting through the walls. She thought about that night on the station, the cold floor, the shivering pup, the choice to sit down and stay. Such a small thing, such a simple thing. But sometimes that was all it took, a small kindness, a simple choice, a moment of warmth in a cold universe. She closed her eyes and smiled. Tomorrow there would be more work to do, more bridges to build, more hearts to open. But tonight she was home, tonight she was back. And that was enough. That was always enough.